All right, welcome everybody for a midweek analysis. And Adam, we're doing this over Zoom because we didn't meet up at practice today. But I got to start off. I mean, the first question, the obvious one is: are you available on Saturday to participate in the game against Iowa State?
I'm ready and available. Yeah, there's a couple guys that are doubtful this week that we didn't expect, like Arden Walker, that that makes a bit tougher with a ranked opponent coming to Folsom Field.
Yeah, that's going to be our main topic tonight is the injury report. The first one of the week, or the participation report, came out tonight. That's why we're doing this so late. But it continues to be, something that grabs a lot of attention for people that because it's a long list. I mean, it's one of the longest in the Big 12. And to be fair, I mean the Buffs have 12 guys listed as out. Iowa State has 12 guys as well. But there's some key guys listed as out for the Buffs, and they've weathered it. I know they've lost, but they've played at least well at times against some good teams. So they've sort of weathered it. But man, that's a lot of key guys.
It is, but then like when you think about who's going to replace these guys, Brian, the silver lining here is that you go, okay, London Merritt or Alex McPherson could get a little bit more
Hmm.
action on Saturday. Not saying that they're up to Arden Walker's level at this point because they're a little bit green, a little bit more specialized at this young stage of their career. You look at some of the injuries at running back, and I know you asked Coach Prime about that on Tuesday. Now that you've got Dallin Hayden back, you've kind of improved that area. So it's at least a program again where depth is legitimately there. And
Yeah.
at 2-4, everybody wants to just have the sky falling, and I get that. And you don't want to see some of these injuries. And Draylen Miller seemed to be kind of catching his stride in the backfield in his new role. I did see he got, I don't know if you saw this out there at TCU, but it looked like he got hurt in the first half and came
Okay.
back a little bit later. It seems to be a lingering issue. He's listed as doubtful. You'd like to have him. Isaiah Harge is a kind of a similar piece where you can move him around a little bit, and you'd like to have him part of the mix, but there are other guys you can plug in there in this
Yeah.
Colorado program, and so that's the one good thing I think you would say when you look at that injury report.
Yeah. And let's, I guess, talk about running back a little bit. I mean, Isaiah Harge also on that doubtful list. As far as that role, I mean, Cam Michael's a guy that we've talked about a lot, right? Is maybe filling a role like that we still haven't seen yet. So maybe it's potential there. DeKalen Taylor, I was actually up there today and saw him moving around on one of those scooters. He's got a walking boot on and was moving around on a scooter. I don't know what that means. I don't know what the injury is. I've seen that sometimes when guys have an Achilles injury, but sometimes it could just be, high ankle sprain, and you just want to get the weight off of that. So I don't know, but um, you know, he certainly didn't look like a guy that's going to be playing football anytime soon. I don't know what's going on with Simeon Price, but if Draylen Miller can't play this week, you're really down to Micah Welch and Dallin Hayden again, and so that makes that tough. But again, do you use a Cam Michael or I don't know.
Yeah, Cam Michael would be the number one option I would put back there. That's one of those things where you got to get creative as an
Yeah,
offensive staff, I guess. I guess I should have said that was a deep position at this point, but um, I think this is going to be the Dallin Hayden game at
yeah,
Folsom Field. We'll get into our predictions later in the week, but this feels like a nice spot for him to really emerge. Um, and we saw him at the press conference on Tuesday, just very mild mannered, but like there's something burning inside of that young man. And
yeah.
if I was gonna bet on a player to have a breakout game on Saturday night, it would be him.
Yeah, I mean the Buffs need it, that's for sure. And he's certainly capable of that. A new guy in the injury report, Hakeem Williams. He's been starting the last several games. It's not like anybody's putting up huge numbers on the receiver room. He's not one, but he's been a starter. He's played a lot of snaps, and I feel like they're not great at blocking, but I feel like he's one that's been pretty solid as a blocking receiver.
Mhm.
But so I think he's a loss. But that's another position where when you mentioned maybe you can absorb some of these losses. That's when you could probably absorb it, right? Because you're still fairly deep at receiver. I mean, what that means is probably more Terrell Timmons. A guy like that he's made some catches and he's played a little bit in recent weeks, so they're not like depleted at receiver. I think they'll be okay without a Hakeem Williams.
And this is a week where Omari Miller needs to build off last week. And
Hmm.
I know he got lazy on some routes against TCU, but he still caught two touchdown passes and is somebody that has shown flashes, but not backed it up with back-to-back performances. So this would be a big week for him. On the other side of the ball, safety Carter Stoutmire being out, uh, that could potentially, or being doubtful at this point, could
Hmm.
potentially be an issue because he has started to get quite a bit better the last couple weeks. He came in and looked the part from day one, and then got some injuries, struggled a little bit to kind of find his niche in this program. And frankly, Brian, I didn't think Carter Stoutmire played very good football through the first three
Right.
or four games of the
Hmm.
season, but he has started to come back and get better at that position. And he's a true junior. This is a guy that could be a real playmaker for the Buffaloes in 2026. And so uh, it's going to be interesting if he can't go. You're going to put Ben Finiseth in there probably, right?
Yeah, I would assume so. And it's interesting that Carter starting to play well coincided with Tawfiq Bayard really getting in there and play and as a starting
Yeah.
role. And so
Mhm.
maybe Bayard's been kind of the leader back there and helping him along. And maybe that's going to help Ben Finiseth. Bayard kind of took over for Ben in that starting role. One of the notes safety wise, I mean, Terrence Love has been on that report for a few weeks. He's not on it right now. And so, maybe you get him back and, he's a guy that I don't know how good he is, but he's played a few snaps already this year, and they like his potential. So maybe you get one back that gives you some depth at safety. So that can help as well. But I mean, Ben's a guy. We do know Ben's hungry. We do know he's energetic, and if he's got the opportunity, he's going to hit some people really hard.
Gotta love Ben Finiseth. He's one of my
Yes.
favorite buffs that's ever rolled
Yeah.
through Boulder. He's such a great guy. But well, you mentioned Terrence Love. There's one thing I need to get clarification on with this Big 12 injury report situation is that it sounds like if somebody's out for the season, you only have to list them once and then not again.
I'm not sure because they listed Gabriel Lightfoot last week and this week, and he's out for the year.
Okay.
So I don't
We got
know.
we yeah we got to get clarification on that because
Okay.
that will make these injury reports I feel like a little bit more clear in terms of how
Yeah.
things stand.
And with Iowa State, I mean, their top two corners are out for the year, which came out last week. I don't know. I assume they were on the injury report last week. So those are guys that are probably listed more than once as well. So I'm not sure the
Okay.
deal on that.
Okay. Okay.
But I guess I didn't know that with Terrence, but I mean, I just know he's not on the report, so we'll see with him. But um, uh, you mentioned defensive end. Another guy I wanted to mention, you brought up maybe it's more snaps for London and Alex McPherson, and that's a good thing. But this could be an opportunity for Quincy Wiggins, a guy that has been talked about so much. Coach Prime talks about his potential a lot. I talked to him in the preseason. He was so excited for this year. It hasn't panned out yet, but maybe this is one where you talk about we talk about guys needing that fire lit under them. Maybe this is an opportunity for a Quincy Wiggins who's got all the potential in the world to go out there and have a big game as well. So yeah, there's guys there that can get the job done.
And credit to Quincy Wiggins, he actually played some defensive tackle out at TCU last week. So
Hmm.
this is a team first guy. A guy we talked yesterday about just it's rare to see guys go through adversity in college football now without hitting
Yeah,
that portal. It's like the first sign of like I don't like this, I'm gone.
yeah,
Quincy Wiggins has battled through that, and they had some injuries in the interior of their defensive line last week, and he stepped up and played a little three technique. So Quincy Wiggins is a buff man. Like that
yeah.
kid has done what it takes. And I don't know, he hasn't lived up to that 5-star hype coming out of high school, but that's somebody that is a good story and like you said, can provide some things off the edge if needed.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if he's got that opportunity this week. And you mentioned the interior; they're still banged up there. I mean, Lightfoot's out for the year. Tavian Coleman, posted this week he had surgery, so he's not going to be playing. Amari McNeil and Anquin Barnes are on that list. I think are they questionable? Is that where they're at? Do you have that in
They
front of you?
were probable, I believe. Hold on.
Let's see. They're questionable.
Questionable. Okay.
Yeah. And then you got Tafik Thomas, is looks like he's still out. He's been out for 3 games, I think. So uh, they're pretty banged up there. I mean, you do have,
Yeah.
I don't know why like a Torian Carter is not getting on the field. But they have him who hasn't really played yet. Jaheim Otis. They've got guys there. It's just that depth is taking a hit. Brandon Davis Swain has started a lot. I know he struggled a little bit early in the year, but they do have some guys there. But you hope. We'll say this: we should say there's been guys the last few weeks that on a Wednesday are on the questionable list and they wind up playing. So you know, I feel better about the guys on the questionable list than the ones on the doubtful list. Let's put it that way.
I don't think Colorado is playing any games with this injury report. I think they're actually being more cautious than most programs in the conference
Yeah.
based on what we've seen so far this season.
Well, and the other thing, I asked Coach Prime about the injury report the other day. I said, you guys have the longest injury report in the Big 12, and he kind of cut me off and said, don't believe everything you see. That led to me telling him that I looked good, but as I kind of listened to his comments back, I was trying to think what's he really trying to say there, and I think what he's trying to say is look, other teams may not be reporting their full injury reports. And we know the I think the only other time we've asked about the injury report was you a couple weeks ago, and he really quickly just said, "Well, that's for gambling purposes," and I'll leave it
Right.
at that. And so I think he clearly doesn't like this injury report thing, and yeah, I don't know what their deal is with how they're playing it. I think there's some gamesmanship with it, but there are a few of these guys on this portal. Like, yeah, I bet they're not going to miss all those guys. There's going to be some that play.
My favorite thing that old sports writers talk about is we're all day to day.
Right. Yeah.
So you got to throw that in there. But yeah, no, I definitely have gotten the sense that Coach Prime does not like this injury report, but
Yeah.
he also respects Brett Yormark a whole bunch.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of subdued criticism, I guess, is the way I've taken
Yeah. I almost get the sense if we ask about it again next week, there might be about 35 players on that list with about 17 of them listed as probable.
it.
I don't know if you remember this, but if you were paying attention back then, but like when Mike Shanahan was the Broncos coach, I remember they took some heat for their injury report, like not reporting certain people. And it was like the next week he had like 40 guys listed on the injury report. Like he just listed everybody, like somebody that had a bruise on a forearm or something, like they were putting them on there. So they're kind of making a mockery of that. But yeah, I I think the only other name on here that's new, Reginald Hughes, is questionable, right? Is that the only other one that kind of jumps out at you?
Was he not on? He was kind of banged up last week too, right?
He played most of the game
But
though.
yeah, he did. He did.
But
But I
was
think
he
he was
on
on the injury report last week.
was
Yeah.
he on it last week? Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So, but yeah, the guys that are questionable now, Anquin Barnes, he was never listed as out last week, I don't believe, but he wound up not playing. So, but he did make the trip, which tells me that he was close. In fact, I remember seeing him in pregame warmups. Do you? I
Yeah,
think,
he was out there. He
yeah.
was out there.
So he
Yep.
was in warmup. So he was trying to give it a go. Wasn't able to go. He was in sweats during the game. So that's a guy that maybe is close and maybe could play this week if needed. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see who actually plays.
Yeah. I haven't dived into the Iowa State side of things yet. We'll do that. I'll do that tomorrow, I
I,
guess.
I was
But
looking briefly. Their top two corners are out for the year. Obviously, Jontes Williams, Jeremiah Cooper. I was trying to look quickly before we started here. The only other two that I think are key guys for them, their kicker, Kyle Conrady, is doubtful. And I don't think he played last week. And then their leading rusher, Carson Hansen, is listed as questionable. So they've got a couple guys.
Yeah.
They've got just as many listed as out, but it looks like several of those guys like haven't even really played. So, so yeah, they are a little bit banged up too, though.
Is this going to be Ralphie's fourth game, third game, fourth game, right? No,
Third, I think.
third game because yeah, she didn't run the opener.
Did she? Yeah, third. She missed the first two games, so she
Yeah.
debuted in Wyoming, then ran against BYU, so this will be the third game. And she has a
Well,
nickname now.
yeah, she does. Brandy, which I looked up the song that apparently that Ralphie Seven loves, and I'm sure it was a big part of her training. And I got a great playlist just going through YouTube after that. You know how like YouTube will jump to the next song after that?
Yeah.
Man, I was vibing out to some good 70s music after pulling that up earlier today.
Well, I learned this week that a buffalo can have a favorite song. I didn't realize that you know uh,
This one's got some spunk, man. I wouldn't doubt it.
I am curious, how you figure out that a buffalo loves a certain song. I'm curious like what her mannerisms are. That was a funny press release, I thought. I was like,
Well, just
is this like an SNL skit or like it was kind of funny.
well, we've got a couple dogs and animals just they have these quirks and sometimes you just
Yeah.
kind of pick up on it, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't know, yeah, that's a good again, we need to dive into a few things a little bit more after this analysis video and I think getting with Taylor Stratton and figuring out what led to that would be a good one.
Well, I think if this season goes off the rails and they're like a 2-8, with a couple games left, we might want to dive into why does Ralphie like this song so much because that might be the more interesting story. There's a long way to go for that, but it is interesting, and yeah, maybe I'll listen to it and see what kind of playlist you came up with.
Do it, man. If you have some work to do tonight or
Yeah,
tomorrow, I recommend everybody out there if you like 70s music to do that.
yeah, and I like music, but had you ever heard of this song or the band?
No, nope.
I had not either. So yeah, but apparently, like I told you, I was looking, on YouTube. It's got 68 million views on there. So, there's a lot of people that have heard that song and of this
I
band.
wonder
So
how many views there were before today, and how many people actually
that's true.
did just what I did and Googled that or put it on YouTube.
I wonder if there's members of that band that all of a sudden they're like, whoa, where's this royalty check coming from? Why is there money coming from Boulder, Colorado?
That would be awesome.
So yeah. Any other news this week? Anything else we need to get into tonight?
Well, I'm going to do a Tracking the Future feature with a Colorado Buffalo commit, Demontre Timms tomorrow. But
Hmm.
I do want to tell Colorado fans if you have not seen Gavin Mueller's huddle clips from this season, he is playing in Illinois. He's a tight end commit. He was kind of an under the radar ish type guy that they got
Hmm.
committed this past summer. And he's playing a lot of Wildcat quarterback. And if you just need to see some great football footage and just see a man go in beast mode, go watch Gavin Mueller's huddle film because it's pretty special stuff.
Yeah. Buff fans would rather see that at Folsom on Saturday,
Yeah,
from the current Buffs. But yeah, Mueller's film is pretty good. So awesome. Well, hey, stay healthy. We're gonna need you on Saturday.
definitely. Same to you, Brian.
All right, we'll see you at Folsom on Saturday. Actually, we'll see you for a game preview video before Saturday. But yeah, everybody, thanks for watching. We'll see you later this week.